Now we'll turn to an Irishman who is, I was going to say quietly, it's not so quietly, positioning himself ringside for some of the biggest fights in boxing just now, building a very serious coaching career. There was obviously Fury Usyk just before Christmas, and there's another world title fight now incoming on Saturday week. He's currently in camp with Joseph Parker, who challenges Daniel Dubois on Saturday week for the IBF Heavyweight world title. And we're happy to say he's given us some time, which we appreciate. Andy Lee, thanks for the time. Much appreciated. How are you?
Good, Joe. How are you?
I'm very well. If you don't mind, a sombre note to start. I just think it would be remiss of us not to mention John Cooney, which is just terrible news. 28 years old from Galway, who fought a week Saturday in Belfast at Ulster Hall. The fight was stopped in the ninth. He was taken to Royal Victoria Hospital and a week on succumbed to his injuries and leaves behind a fiancée and a family, parents. He's a sibling as well. I don't know if you knew him or not. Either way, it underlines an obvious point. You are operating in a crazy, dangerous, brutal world.
Yeah, it's just a sobering reminder for everyone involved in the sport and for everyone not involved with the sport, the dangers. I met John a number of times actually. He used to train in Inchicore and I would take some of my boys up there to spar. And you would not meet a nicer guy, more jovial and pleasant, a gentleman, always in good form, positive person, and just a shocking loss, really. And it's just right to have it there, like on your doorstep, in Belfast, and really just at a local kind of domestic level. Not, these things might see them happen on big international stages, but just something that anyone could have attended. It's just been there, and then like to know him so closely like that, and just to see it happen, it's really shocking for everybody who knew him and anyone who didn't really know him as well. Just to remind people that this is you cannot be too safe in this game, really.
I didn't realise you knew him. God, that's ultra shocking. Just to think he's not here anymore.
Mm. Yeah, and just to go in, to drive up to Belfast for a boxing match and then not come home.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's tragic.
Um, you say sobering. I mean, it must be. Did you? Maybe you couldn't, because how would you get into a ring with a fear of death or life-changing injury to the forefront of your mind? Were there periods in your life where it did play on your mind more than others, or was it always pushed to one side?
Oh, to be honest with you, only at the end, really. For me personally, when when I was about to become a father, I realised that it was time to retire because the dangers of the sport. I need to be here to take care of my family and not have them taking care of me. In whatever state I would be if a fight went bad, went the wrong way. So, but when you boxing, those thoughts can never enter your mind because you'd never get into the ring. You would never get into the ring if you had those thoughts. But they are there, and it's like anything really. Statistically, it wouldn't be up there with the most dangerous sports, but like any sport, um, it can happen. It can be anything, like walking down the road, crossing the road. It can happen, so you have to be careful.
Yeah, it's so devastating. Like I saw his promoter, Mark Dunlop, saying, "Well, look, I don't think I can promote anymore the way I feel right now." He's not, top of my list. But people will understand the point I'm making. His opponent, must be in such a difficult place as well. I remember a couple of years ago interviewing Ray Boom Boom Mancini, who had killed an opponent in the ring. And even though he fought afterwards, he said he could never throw a punch again with the intent to really hurt someone, understandably. It finished him.
Yeah, you've heard it time and again, from Chris Eubank Senior to the great Ray Robinson. He's in his book he said he could never hit anyone again with the same venom that he once did. It just it's just
Yeah,
all around us. There's not. I just remember John, and he was such a beautiful person and gentleman of a man,
right.
and very tragic.
Yeah. You said, what would you say? Always in good humour, that kind of a sort.
Yeah, always in good humor and positive, and you know, you know, good little a little cheeky chappy, and he was always, had a bit of a smile and a joke, and brave as they come, and probably, would get in there with literally anybody, would
Right.
get in the ring with anybody, way above his weight division, and just would battle it out. So don't know. It's not nice to say now that it's because of what's happened to him, but brave to a fault. No,
Yes.
didn't know how to quit. Would fight anybody, stand with anybody, really. But above all, I just remember him being a gentleman and being such a pleasant person, and a good, very good little fighter too.
Yeah. Well, it's awful. Condolences, obviously, to everybody concerned, not least his fiancée, his family. They just must be in the horrors here. Um, it's probably well, it's an equally somber point to pick up, but as you rightly say, statistically, those moments in a ring are quite rare.
Mm.
I guess the big fear for any fighter is the long-term brain health. Does that play on your mind? I've never really asked you that before. Like, I go through life and I forget a name or I forget my keys. I would think a boxer forgets a name or forgets keys. They think, oh my God, is this it? That must be
Yeah.
an ever-present lurking fear, or no?
I definitely like. There are definitely fighters who carry on too long, and there are definitely coaches who let fighters carry on too long, or who let them take sustained punishment. Um, like a brave coach is probably the worst thing there is in boxing. You need to take care of the fighters first and foremost. Um, and then there are certain fighters who are there are certain fighters who are a danger to themselves. They don't know when to quit because they don't have anything else to fill the void that would be left. The limelight is so good, the attention's so good, and then there's a financial reason for continuing to box as well.
Hmm.
Um, but at the end of the day, everyone is responsible for themselves, really, and when the fight is in a fight, then the coach is responsible. But um, it's like anything in any walk of life, really. You can continue, you can do it for too long till it becomes a hazard to your health. I think sports like rugby or
Yeah.
would be just as dangerous, really. Um,
No, it's very much proving that way. Do you feel you got out at a good time?
I think I did. Yeah, I think I did. I'm still like touch wood. I don't know. I think I did. I was only 32 at the time, so
Yeah.
like I could have continued on, but just wasn't there for me, And I thought about those dangers. I did actually take that into consideration when I did retire. And I'm glad I did, man. I've never felt the urge to go back. And people still ask me today, would you make a comeback? But that ship has sailed, and it's thank God I've never had the urge or the feeling that I wanted to get in there. Even watching the boys spar or being at the big fights, I never even like when I was boxing. I would always think I'd love to be in there now. I'd love to be in there. I wish I could do and show how good I am.
Hmm.
But that's never the case anymore.
Interesting.
Mm.
What strikes me, I haven't been ringside at a whole bunch of fights, but what jumps out to me, and anyone who goes to a professional fight, is, oh my God, the power. Like, you think you understand the power on TV, you don't. The speed, the power, like, it's frightening.
And when you watch it on TV, there's like the medium of television. It kind of glamorizes it all. It looks the lights are flashing. There's smoke in the air to make it with that atmosphere, and um, the production values and the graphics. It just looks so electric. But when you're up close at a fight, it's brutal. You can hear the thud and the impact of the punches and the the guys, wincing
Yeah.
and those, and it's not. There's no glamour in it. There's no glamour in it. Really, it's. There is an artistry, but it's violent artistry, and it's really it is. There's no glamour in it at all.
If you were to miss anything about being a fighter, what would it be?
Um, I think it just had its time. I don't really miss. I don't miss anything about it really. I don't miss anything because I had its time and I did it all. For me personally, I had the glory. I was world champion. I had the highs and the lows, and it just had its time. It's great memories and great to look back at it. But I wouldn't say I miss it. I wish I could change it or do it again, or even I just think it had its time and it's done.
Great. Well, listen, count yourself lucky. That's how you feel. I'm sure there's a huge amount of guys who can't give it up. Um, to life now. So you're pretty much, from what I can see, busy. You're full
Yeah.
time coaching more often than not. Like, how many fighters are you working with?
To be honest, I only have the two really main guys, which Joseph Parker and Paddy Donovan.
Okay.
I help with Tyson. Like I just would go for Tyson's fight weekend, be there as a second opinion or extra pair of hands to help him out with his fight preparation. Um, but it has been very busy. Like since before Christmas, Joseph came back to prepare for this fight on the February 22nd. Yeah, it's busy. Paddy Donovan is fighting March 1st.
Yeah.
So a week apart, both big fights, like significant fights in the world of boxing. Joseph for the world title and Paddy Donovan in the world title eliminator. So for the right to fight for the world title. Um, and there's a lot involved in it, the coaching. It's not just the day-to-day work in the gym. It's preparing the boys. It's all the stuff outside the gym as well as organizing sparring, scheduling sparring, finding sparring partners as well for Joe. So we had to fly guys in, one guy from Italy, two guys from the UK, getting them set up. And there's a lot of admin, a lot of involved with coaching as much as it is the technical side of it.
And at his
And
level,
then
and at his level, there's not some big entourage office who can look after that and let you focus on coaching. No, you're kind of bit everything.
there is, but I like to be hands-on. I like to make sure I'm getting the right people, and if they come to a camp for Joseph, um, they come in because I've asked them. I want them there, and I've asked them, and then in some way they're my responsibility. So I want to ensure that they're treated well, that they're picked up on time from the airport, they're taken to the accommodation is nice, they've got money to feed themselves, they have everything they need, and so it's my name. I'm not just going to throw them in some place and see them. So I'll see you at the gym and not see you again. So you gotta. They're doing us a favor. Well, we are paying them, but they're doing us a favor by coming, and so you want to make sure they're treated well. And so that's just part and parcel of the job. But yeah, it's busy, but I like to be busy, and. Between the three young kids, and then the two boxers who are like grown-up kids, there's a lot to be doing, But I like it. I like it, School run, drop off, straight to the gym, train the boys, do the school pickups, then the activities, then go to the gym in the evening. So it's good.
It's a full life. And if you weren't coaching and it was just kids with a bit of punditry, which,
Mhm.
again, has gone extremely well for you. I mean, like DAZN plucked you out and said, he's our guy. It was a huge kind of stamp of approval, I suppose. If you were just doing punditry and family life, would you have an itch? Would you feel I'm missing something? I'm missing adrenaline, or no?
Yeah, well, maybe because this coaching has filled that void. Maybe that that's how I spoke earlier about putting boxing my career in its place and leaving it there. Maybe that's that the coaching has taken over, and I do work like I work. I think I work as hard. I'm as dedicated as a coach as I am as I was as a boxer, and I take it as personal as you know, and sometimes I'm more frustrated than the boxers are. If they have a bad spar, I take it like I've had a bad spar. So it's. But I do care a lot about it. And I put a lot of work into it. But it's good because yeah, it's good. They are a reflection of me now, the boxers, and when they perform well, it's a good reflection on me.
Yeah.
Mm.
When you're going through training sessions or where you're in the corner of the fight or you're working with the two guys, do you find yourself thinking, "Oh, this is very Emmanuel Stewart," or "Oh, this is a little bit more Adam Booth"? I mean, where are you on the spectrum, or you kind of developed your own hybrid?
Yeah, I think I definitely draw on both of them, on both of those influences, and um, it's just very fortunate to work with the coaches I did work with, throughout my career. Never thought that this would inform my or would be like, the perfect platform to become a coach myself. But even to go back to my amateur days with the Repton Boxing Club, St. Francis, Billy Walsh, Zorantia, Nicholas Cruz Hernandez, and then as a pro with Emmanuel, Sugar Hill, Joey Gamache, Adam Booth. like you're talking about some of the best coaches who ever did it in amateur and professional, so what an education. And then to be a fighter yourself and to become world champion, there's just so much experiences there for me to draw upon. And I always will fall back to my own experiences and try to put myself in my fighter's shoes when he's having a tough day or having a good day even, and think about what Emmanuel would have done or what I would have felt in those at those times, So I think there's practical experience, there's fear, there's theory, but there's having the practical experiences is just such a huge benefit to me.
Yeah.
Having been in there and knowing what it's like and to go through those tough battles and not just the battles of the fight, but the battles with yourself, the thoughts you have, the evasive thoughts of, oh, I just don't feel it today, or I'm just, oh, it's that little niggle in my shoulder, like looking for a way out, or I've been through it all, and there's not. I can being able to identify it as well. It's yeah, recognize it and try to combat it when you see it creeping in your fighters. Yeah,
That's interesting. Well, I guess that's the third leg of the stool. I should have mentioned that you've been there and you've done it and you know what it's like. How significant is in the corner in fight coaching? And has your perspective on that changed since you've become a coach to what you thought of it when you were a fighter?
no, I think this is where having been a fighter myself was where this experience comes in is the most invaluable to me because people can be you can be a trainer, you can do pads with people, you can teach them to you can show them how to box or give them pads and get them fit to a certain level. And but when they're in a fight, you almost need to know what's going through their mind and how they think, and you have to be a psychologist. And for people like there's like Adam Booth used to say this, to be a great boxing coach, you need to be the horse trainer and you also have to be the jockey. So you can train them and get them fit and have them ready technique and game plan. But it's the jockey who rides the horse, in the race. And that's that's the cornerman, as well, not just the coach. And to be a great cornerman, you have to know how the fighter's thinking and remember how you feel in those moments as well. Because when I was with it, when I would be with Emmanuel in the corner, it was like he could read my mind. It was like he knew exactly how I was feeling. And when I come back to the corner and sit down on the stool, and after a round, he'd say to me, "Just take it easy now. Keep boxing the way you're boxing, and just keep moving." And that's how I would be feeling because I'd know that the guy was still strong and dangerous. And maybe he could just see that from his experience. But then, whenever he would say to me, "Okay, step it up now, pick it up on him," and even if I didn't feel right about doing it, I would trust him, and more often than not, I would stop the guy in that round. Um, but he was probably the best cornerman really, and he knew he would he could read my mind. That's the only way I could say it. But and I tried to do it with Joseph and Paddy. Yeah, not try, but the what makes me feel good about my relationship with Joe and Paddy is that I'll be thinking of a combination or a certain move in a spar or a fight, and without me having to say it, I'll see them do it almost instantly. At the same time, I'll have the thought I can see them do it, and so that shows me that we're in sync in that way.
That's fascinating.
Mm.
Yeah. And do you think you have the trust of, say, Joseph, that on Saturday week, you might think now's the time, this is the round to step it up. I think there's a vulnerability there. And he's not feeling it. Does he have enough trust in Andy Lee that he'll say, "Okay, coach, I'll take your word for it"? Or will he say, "Andy, it's my fight"?
Yeah, well, he'd never say that openly because he's too polite. But he might not. Yeah, he not feel. But I can. When Joe's fought Zhang and Wilder, and
Yeah.
he'll be the trust he has. It's beautiful to see because he'll be in the ring and I'll instantly call whatever it might be, 1-2 or check hook or no, throw feint to the body, and he'll do it instantly. He trusts my opinion to do it, and he sees the results. He can see the results because they'll work there. It's not like something I have to. He can see it for himself
So
when
you're calling those shots loud to him.
yeah, and it's the beauty of it. Not the beauty of it, I think. They've been criticised out here in Saudi Arabia for lack of atmosphere
Yeah.
in the arena, but for us, it's kind of perfect because Joseph can hear every word I say clearly, and also his opponent can hear it. And when I'm encouraging Joe, his opponent can hear it as well. You know what I mean? So there's a double kind of edge of the sword
Yeah.
there. That um,
And if you shout a combination, can the opponent not hear you shout it?
yeah, he can, but we have we'll build up a shorthand of there'll be certain words that mean something to us, but won't mean anything to the like a certain code.
Okay. So if he hears you shouting banana,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah.
So let's touch on Parker then, because it's been such a wonderful relationship between the two of you. He fights Dubois, as I said, Saturday week. He'll be on Sky Sports. People, I'm sure here will be following. I mean, the fight, but also following your progress with him. Respective form lines, Dubois is the title holder. He beat Joshua at Wembley in September. It was a fifth round knockout. And as for Parker, in his last two fights, really, he's gone in as the underdog. Deontay Wilder in December of 23 and then Zhile Zhang in March. Two of the biggest punchers in the division. Zhang knocked him down twice, we should say, and he came back to win that fight. So a real kind of resilience there. His boxing IQ is much talked about as well. From say a point where he loses to Joe Joyce in Manchester in 2022,
Mm.
like at that point his stock is former world champion. Hey, listen, Joseph, thanks for everything. Exit stage left. You're kind of done. What's kind of happened here? I presume that's a real low point. You were working with him then, weren't you?
Yeah, we started in 2021. We had two fights together. He fought Derek Chisora back to back. Then we had a bit of a long layoff, and he was fighting Joyce. He lost the Joyce fight, and it was a tough, bruising defeat. And like you said, thank you, Joseph. You've been a great servant. Time to retire. Oh, just hang around and become a gatekeeper because it's moved on now. The sport's moved on, and you're left behind. That could have been, that could have been the end for him there and then. And most people did write him off. And in this day and age, we're too quick to write off people. After a bad performance. We had a comeback fight, and he fought Massey in the January of 23,
Yeah.
and it was still another lackluster performance. But that's it. It's looking back at it. It was on the cards because you're hesitant after a loss. Fighters are always a bit unsure of themselves after a loss, and also the way he trained and prepared, and I think lifestyle was an issue as well. And I don't think he fully believed in himself or fully believed in what he was doing. And then we had some tough, honest conversations with each other at that stage. And what are we doing this for? Because I'm not just going to train you to to win a couple of fights and take a bit of a beating. And we had some real tough, honest conversations. And we made a plan just to stay busy and get active and stop chasing big money fights. Let's just get busy and stay active. So he had the fight in January. We had another fight scheduled for May. Um, what the plan of staying busy also coincided with him relocating his camp to Ireland. For like the last year before that, I've been trying to get Joe to train in Ireland, but he was committed to training in Morecambe because he had been successful there. It was the home of Tyson Fury. He was training alongside Tyson Fury, and it was so successful for Tyson there. Joe wanted to be a part of that. My reason for wanting to take Joe out of that environment was because he's a heavyweight, and he has to walk into the gym and feel like he's the best he can be. He's the best fighter in the gym. When you walk into the gym of the heavyweight champion, you're never going to have that. And when you're in Tyson Fury's camp, you're always going to be paying second fiddle to him, just because he's such a dominant personality, Tyson, and he's the champ, and it is his camp. He owns the gym, so he's going to schedule and he's training. We have to work around him. So it wasn't not that it wasn't ideal. We're very grateful to Tyson because he opened the door to us. He just said, whatever you want. There's the gym. There's our house. There's whatever you need. My therapist, my strength conditioner. You can have. So it's not that we didn't appreciate it, but for Joseph, I said, you have to stand on your own 2 feet, have your own camp. When you walk into the gym, feel that you're the best man in the gym. And and then we decided to get busy. So he fought in May, fought in Australia, got a win. Then he fought in October and he got another win, another knockout win. And then the opportunity came to fight Deontay Wilder, and that would have been the fourth fight in the year. And he took the fight and he beat Wilder. And then the next fight came again, March, which is so that was, just over a year. He had 5 fights, and that was unheard of in heavyweight boxing in this day and age. And it stood to him. And we're in a space of a year, from losing to Joyce, just over a year. He'd gone from being down and out to being, on top of the world, having two really significant wins, beating two of the most dangerous and avoided fighters in the world. And in Ireland, and also working with George Lockhart, who came on board as, first he was a nutritionist for Joe, and then I asked him to take care of the strength and conditioning. And Joe has just gone from strength to strength under all those things, yeah.
Such an interesting point about be the alpha in your own camp.
Yeah, you have to be that way, and you have to feel that way. And yeah, and I think it's made a big difference for Joe. And he loves it now. He loves he loves that Dublin anyway. Yeah. He loves the 40 putt.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, in for swims and dinner with the Lees every night.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about the Dubois fight then, Saturday week?
We're up against it again. And the momentum was probably with Dubois in terms of he's coming off a series of big wins. So is Joe, but it'll be almost a year since Joe's fought. He fought Zhang on March the 9th of 23. Now it's February of 24, I mean, and now it's February 25. So we've had time out of the ring, and the activities definitely helped Joe in terms of with the fights with Wilder and Zhang. But in saying that, things happen for a reason, and maybe even though we wanted to fight, we were looking to get fights, they never happened. But maybe that was God's way or the universe's way of saying you need a rest. You need to take a rest, because he was put down twice in the Zhang fight. So maybe his body needed the rest. We're going up against it. Yeah, this guy is very formidable. He's in great form. He knocked out Anthony Joshua in Wembley Stadium in front of 80-odd thousand people. So he's fearless, and he's going to feel invincible, Dubois. So it's Joe's job. Joe's gone up against it. But we've been in this position before. Joe's fought Wilder and he's fought Zhang. And the thing is, with Joe's experience of those fights, Dubois is big, but he's not bigger than Zhang. Dubois is strong, but he's not more powerful than Zhang or Wilder. Can't punch like Wilder. He's not as fast as Wilder. So all the things that Dubois has, Joe has faced in these last 2 fights. You know what I mean? So Joe's a very clever, experienced fighter now, and we'll have to use that experience. He has to use that experience. He's trained very, very hard. He's prepared very well. But we know we're up against it. We're up against it. He's a champion for a reason, and we're going in there as the underdog again.
One last one, and to be fair, you're in that difficult position where you're not going to unveil the game plan here. The fight. To what extent can you study tape of somebody like Dubois or any fighter, and to what extent then do you have a really good idea of the combinations they throw, how they're going to move, what they're going to do? Like, how predictable is a fighter generally?
Yeah, they will change small things for each opponent, but they usually stay to within a certain frame, a certain spectrum of. They never go too far outside their comfort zone. And when you're coaching somebody and to fight, do you work on their weaknesses, but you're also trying to improve your strengths and trying to adjust them, improve yourself while also trying to exploit their weaknesses. And you can gain a lot from. You have to study the video. Like, the first rule of war is know your opponent. know your enemy. So you have to study. When I tried to get to know them intimately, the opponents who the guys fight. I like to see how they live their life outside the gym. I like to know who's in their inner circle. I like to watch interviews with them and listen, try to look for little insights of anything really. And you pick up a lot, from just watching and following them on social media and just
Well,
just
it's
looking at
funny.
stuff.
Yeah, because it's funny. I didn't see it, but I read about it. You did one of those TV face-offs.
Mm.
And I don't know to what extent headlines are being headlines, but it was like Andy Lee leaves Dubois stunned, and it was. I think the gist was you're part of this round table thing, and you sort of point out to him, well, actually, you were knocked down by a jab in some fight in the distant past. So I mean, how do you account for that? Why is that not going to happen again? And it was like he couldn't think of an answer. Lee under his skin. So I thought, God, that's not like Andy to be
I know. Well,
engaging in that stuff.
I was actually told we have to talk to some guys, and I felt. And then after I was like, oh, why did I do that? But then we said, no, we have to go because Joe's such a nice guy, and Daniel. But I don't know if he seems like a nice fella, but they're both very quiet. You know what I mean? So
Okay. So for
me
the
and
first
Frank
time in your
were
life,
out
you
there.
did some trash talking. God help us.
Yeah, almost. Well, he kept talking about fighting Usyk. Kept talking about he wants to fight Usyk, and even after Fury Usyk fought each other in December, it was Dubois who jumped in the ring and challenged
Yeah.
Usyk while he's got a fight with Joe already scheduled. And so he kept even in the round table, we kept talking about fighting Usyk. And I said, "Well, hold on a second here. You fought Usyk already, and you went down off a jab. So." And I just let him just remind him, anyway. So, um, but there were, he like we talk about Joe's resurgence, but he is, and also there's very similar in that case because he struggles in, and I remember being in with you guys before, back when you were in your former gig, and he was, we talked about Dubois. He lost to Joyce, and he kind of took a knee himself, and the outrage in boxing that boxers can't do that. You shouldn't quit to pull yourself out. Where as compared to MMA, they often tap out, and they're not looked down upon. And we talked about that culture.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was kind of deemed a quitter after the Joyce fight. And then not too long later, he went down off the jab on Usyk and kind of sent down himself. Um, and people have doubted him, but he's come back since then and proved there's a bit more metal to him in beating Miller, beating Herkovich, and now beating Joshua. So both guys are in great form. And why I think Joe will win the fight because he's got more boxing and more nuance. Also, Joe can punch a bit. Joe's punching hard at the moment. But we know what to expect for Dubois. He's going to come like a wrecking ball. He's going to try and steamroll Joseph. And for Joe, it's to use that against him. It's almost to be like not so much the bull and the matador, but a little bit like that.
Okay. Well, it sounds like it's going to be an amazing fight. So that's in 2 weeks. You're pretty fresh off being in the corner for Tyson Fury against Usyk for their second fight. That was, 21st of December. The first fight was a split decision. A second fight was unanimous. Did you feel second fight was fairly comprehensive, no quibbles, or closer than unanimous suggests?
Yeah, I thought it was close. I thought, see, if I can be unanimous, but still be very close,
Yes.
you have to score around one way or the other. And I thought it was close. I thought, well, maybe he's lost it. When the bell rings, you're not really judging a fight anyway when you're in the corner because you're so involved. And when the bell rang, I thought, he might have won this by a round or he might have lost it by a round. But then when the scores were read and he had lost it by 4 or 5 rounds, it was quite, that was the most disappointing thing. But yeah, that was disappointing for me, really. And I think for Tyson, but listen, Usyk is a great, great fighter. And on another day, Tyson might have won those fights, but they were close. But Usyk just was that little bit better.
When you have 2 defeats like that, does that make a trilogy pointless in the boxing world, or is this fight always worth doing again? I appreciate Tyson Fury announced his retirement in January, but I'll hold my breath on a touch on that.
Well, there would be a trilogy, but you have to. I think there's not going to be an immediate trilogy. I think if Tyson was to come back, fight Joshua and beat him, and then fight the winner of Dubois and Joseph,
Okay.
then he's earned the right to go again, and people want to see it again because he's improved and times have changed. And
You don't just parachute straight back in, though.
not to a third fight, I don't think, unless there was some controversy or really close decision. Or, if it was one win apiece, then maybe, but not 2-0.
I wasn't the only person who thought it, I think, but certainly the first fight, it felt like a difficult, unsettled atmosphere. I don't really know how to articulate it. Obviously, retrospectively, we found out that Tyson Fury strongly suspected his wife had suffered a miscarriage, and so who knows where his head was. His father was in the corner as well. He was very vociferous. You've Sugar in the corner. Obviously, he's going to be talking a lot. And I would say you were as loud as I'd ever heard you in a corner. Maybe the microphone was just picking you up more. I don't know. But it felt busy. And I don't know, was that a good busy, bad busy? But I'd be curious for your reflections.
It was. It's never good to have too many voices in the corner, really. And it got to the point when I can't remember, it was round 10 or something, and someone tapped me on the shoulder and just said he's 2 rounds down. And it would be someone who I'd know would have an insight into how the scoring was going. And so when he stands sits down on the stool and I go stand up in the corner to give him water, I just simply had to say, I was on about to say, you're 2 rounds down. Because I would know as a fighter, I need to know that. Yeah. No matter, I might think I'm winning, I might think I'm losing, but I need to know what it is. There's 2 rounds left and you're 2 rounds down. So at least I know where I'm at then. And as a coach, not a coach of him, but just in the corner, I had to tell him that, because then you've done it. It's not good me saying after the fact. So that's where my input came in the corner. But no, it was just listen. There's a big story behind all these things, and there's a story behind every fight and every performance, really, and it shows out in the ring. Yeah. It shows in the ring. The ring is the great. This is like the stage and how you prepare for it, and then you're on the stage and you got to act. You got to do. You got to say action, and it shows in the performance.
Yeah, you can't cheat that reality.
No.
Yeah, the ultimate truth test, litmus test.
Yeah.
So are you going to take on more fighters in the years ahead? Is this you now? I love coaching. I'm going to do this long term, or where are you with it?
I don't know. It's definitely been it's very rewarding, but it also, with everything you gain, you also lose something, because the time I'm here, I'm away from home.
Yeah.
The time I'm with the fighters, I'm away from my kids, and you only have so much time and energy that you can give out. And to me, time and energy is the most valuable thing you have. And the way you spend it, it's the biggest decision you have to make. Joseph is worthy of my time and my energy. He's a lovely person. He's a gentleman, and he's one of the best people you ever meet. And we're fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world. So it's, we got validation in that. Paddy Donovan is it's like my passion project. The reason I started boxing was because of coaching, was because of Paddy Donovan. When I saw him in the National Stadium as a kid, I thought this guy's going to be special, and that's how the journey started. Yeah. Whether I take on 1 or 2 more, I don't know. But the one thing I know is that I have to like them as people more so than as much as I like them as fighters. As much as I think they can do as a fighter, whatever I think they can achieve has to be matched by their personality. Because, as I said, it's a lot of time, and as I explained at the beginning, it's a lot more than just what we do in the gym.
Yes,
you have to you're mentoring them. You're babysitting them, man. You're making big decisions, and they're putting their life as we're reminded, putting their life in your hands, and you're responsible for them.
Are you ever more conscious of time passing?
Yeah. The kid, time's going faster and faster, isn't it?
Yeah.
The older we get, time speeds up.
I heard it's like someone told me it's like train tracks. Journey starts slow, but we're moving now.
Yeah, we're definitely chugging along.
What age are the kids?
7, 4, and 2.
Okay.
So it's it's just and not like I'm only gone this 3 weeks, but there'll be another fight in time. Like when I get home from here, I'll have 2 days, 2 or 3 days at home. Then I'll be going to Belfast for Paddy's fight, and we'll have 3 or 4 days in Belfast. And it's not it takes its toll on the kids because my daughter, she's 7, she's old enough to understand, but the boys maybe not. They start to resent you a little bit, and they become a little bit insecure. When you are home, then you're going down to the shop, and they think you're leaving, never coming back. So it definitely does there is a price to pay for it.
Yeah. Conscious the next question. This is not me in my ivory tower. I can't stress that enough. Like, the EU imports billions of dollars of Saudi oil every year. I don't think about that when I turn on my light. Everybody listening here has probably bought clothes, bought in a sweatshop. Everybody here has mobile phones, probably made in dubious circumstances. And yet there is obviously an unease with the Saudi takeover of sport at large. Boxing very much. Boxing always follows the money. We see that through history. Saudi has the money, we go there. You always struck me as, very good person, wants to do the right thing generally. Are you grappling? Do you have an unease about that, or are you a bit more pragmatic about it, or where are you? I'm sure you love these questions.
No, yeah, to be honest with you, yeah, I think I'm pragmatic about it because if you look into anything, you can question it, can't you? If you look into any organization, any sport, like corruption or whatever it might be, is in every asset, every part of life is full of right? You can be agreed, but to be honest with you, I would like I I don't I try not to think about it, and
Right.
I try not to think about it. I'm here for the fighters. They have a job to do. All like, and I and you have to pay the bills. You have people. These guys, they've got an opportunity to make money. Um, that was never available to them before. And it is a short and hard career. And it can cost you your life. So why not? Why shouldn't you have the maximum reward for it? And that's where I stand on it. That's where I stand. And if these guys want to pay the money to put the fights on, then I'm happy to come and help them, help the fighters to come here.
Yeah. So it's a one track. My loyalty is to Joseph Parker. This is his career. Me and geopolitics. That's not one I'm going to spend hours mulling over, for better or worse. And people might be critical of you for that, but that's your logic.
They can be, if they want to be critical of me, they can be, because I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Because, so what if I want to go? If the fights happen in Las Vegas, there's going to be corruption there. Who's running anything, any kind of sport? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not. Is it going to make it? Is it going to make a difference if I'm sitting back in Dublin on my high horse? No, it's not. Things are still going to happen, and that's the way I look at it. Nothing's going to change. You know what I mean? That's where I see it.
It always sort of struck me about you in a way that, again, sorry, I don't want to over stress how well we know each other. We meet each other professionally down the years, but you get a feel for somebody, and you always struck me as just a very decent person, and yet you found yourself navigating the world of boxing of all worlds. Like,
but that's so.
This world dances with the criminal world. It is not full of politically correct characters. It is trash talking. It is corruption. It is money. You see Katie Taylor interacting with all sorts of different people. It's like the price of doing business. You've kind of been at this in some respects for a long time, that you just have to. You hold your nose a little bit, or you just have to get on with it.
Nah, that's the world we live in. It's life. There's good and bad in every walk of life, and in boxing you'll see it all. Yeah. Magnified. You know what I mean? And it's a wonderful world to be in some ways, because you do see all those things. You see the good and you see the bad, and I'm here surrounded by some of the best people I've ever met in my whole life, and they're all in boxing.
Yeah.
So there you go. And listen, if it wasn't for boxing, who would I be? You know what I mean? Anyway, I'd probably be a tree surgeon like my brothers. You know what I mean? So I'd probably be. You know what I mean? So who knows? So I've got to live a wonderful life. I've traveled the world. I've had amazing experiences, and yeah, and it's all through boxing.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to rag on it.
No, I hear you. A tree surgeon.
Yeah,
Right.
I can still do that. I did it for the first, I don't know how many years of my life, and then I was too hard, and I realized boxing is the way.
Huh. Before you go, just to remind you, I'm sure you noted the anniversary, but 10 years just passed in December since this moment here.
And here comes Andy Lee in now. So Korbov looked like he landed him, and watch this. Look at these shots. And he stops the fight. Teddy Bayless stops the fight. You know why? Too many unanswered punches. Andy Lee is a brand new WBO middleweight champion of the world.
The winner by TKO victory, and now the WBO middleweight champion of the world, Irish Andy Lee.
There we are, Matt Korobov. December 2014, 10 years, decade. Another
Crazy.
lifetime.
Yeah, no, definitely. Not a lifetime.
What's your strongest memory of that night 10 years on? And memory as opposed to what you've watched on TV, because
Yeah.
that can change your memory.
I haven't really watched it. Probably strongest memory. There's loads of memories, but I think I remember being in the dressing room. I remember feeling ready. I can remember the relief after the fight and just being back in the hotel room when everyone was gone and just sitting, like not sleeping that night, and just sitting up looking at the belt and thinking I did it. You know, just thinking I did it. Just relief and gratitude and just feeling that after all those years, it was very satisfying. Just being satisfied. Yeah.
I can imagine. No one can take that. No one can take a world champion away from my name ever.
Yeah. So it's good. It's very good.
Listen, thanks so much for the time. It's great to catch up, and you're flying it. Obviously, the next what would it be now? Next 10 days, will that be? Is it going to be full on or nice and chill and all the hard work done? The tapering off thing. I don't know the signs of it all.
No, he'll start tapering. We got one more hard day tomorrow.
Right.
And then that'll be it. It'll just be tapering and sharpening and mentally as much as physically rehearsing what we have to do in the fight. And that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, great to catch up with you. Very best of luck
Cheers, Joe.
on
Thank
Saturday
you very
week,
much.
and then you'll be into Paddy the month after, so it doesn't stop.
The week after.
The week after?
following week. Yeah, the
Okay.
week after, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Good man. Andy Lee,
thanks.
thanks so much.
Thank you, Joe.